Hello, and welcome to the Deepbluerenegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deepbluerenegade, and I would like to welcome you guys to episode 25. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2014, and classes have started. Or that's the big news for the week, is that my month off is over, which is sad. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm actually recording in the same spot that I did last week, but now all is yellow instead of brown. Yay! Which ended up cutting into a lot of my knitting time this week. So I suspect that this week will be a shorter episode than the last couple, just because it's all pretty simple. I'm still drinking the hazelnut coffee. This time I am using almond hazelnut cashew milk as the creamer. And it's not as good as the almond milk, and all of them are not as good as half and half. Oh well, such is life. You can't win them all. So to start with, I guess I have an almost finished object to show you guys. And really, if I turn it inside out, you wouldn't even know. So right now I actually have it inside out still. These are my gloves. So last week I showed you one completed glove. I ended up nearly knitting a glove in a day. I went to Detroit, so I ended up riding along with my husband to go to Detroit, and I basically hung out in a Panera Bread for a couple of hours. So I took a photo when I started, and I took a photo every hour on the hour. And I'll have to link the progression in the show notes because it was pretty cool. And to be quite frank, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one was left versus which one was right. The pattern that I used was the cabled collar chart, which is actually a modification of the featherweight, or it's a modification that you can do for the featherweight sweater by hand fitting. But if you search, or if you do a pattern search for cabled collar chart, the right one ends up showing up. And I guess I should have untangled the gloves before I started to record. Oh well. But I knew that there was going to be no way that I was going to finish weaving in the ends before it became too dark to record. So, such is life. So this is what we got. Oh, I have a needle hanging out here. Oh, I still am confused about left and right these things. So I'm still weaving in the ends. But, and I didn't end up recording how many rows I did for the fingers. So I don't even know if you guys can even really see the cabled pattern. It's very subtle. It just adds a little bit of class. And I was wearing them today just because it's been pretty cool. Not as bitterly cold as whatever 2 weeks ago, but not too bad. So what is it? So you have 10 fingers, and basically you get, 18 ends to weave in. So but I like the length. I had my husband try them on simply to make sure that they were the right length for what he was looking for in gloves, so maybe I'll start those sometime. It hasn't been as important to him, so there we go. There's one really, really long end here. I ended up making the middle finger way too long on the first glove, so I ended up ripping that back a little bit and then binding off again. I did a stretchy bind off. So it doesn't give as neat an edge, and I also bind off in the ribbing. I don't know if you guys can really see. So, and this is the one with the slightly longer middle finger. When you end up making half finger gloves, with my shorter finger, like maybe they were like quarter finger, all of them were the same length, but for this one I sort of had to make sure that they all ended up at the right place, which was about there. So, yay! I get to have warm hands. They say it's a fingering weight yarn. It seems more like a sport. I knit these on 1.5, and they came out really dense, and that is perfectly good for minutes. I don't know if I'm going to end up on places at all of the intersections. You end up getting thin spots, basically because you end up picking up stitches in order to picking up stitches or casting on stitches in order to make the base of the fingers. So I'm still learning. And I still have yet to make true gloves, but I don't really see any reason why I would when I can have these ones. And I guess I've been noticing that my accessories have been turning out more of a maroon, purple, red sort of color lately, which is fine. It's just a new trend. So that's my sort of finished object. For most standards, it is just that weaving in, left to go, and that I just need to sit down and do it. I brought it with me to knitting last night, and I never even pulled them out. It probably would have been a better thing to work on, but whatever, such is life. So I have, so I guess I only have one work in progress on the needles right now. I'm still working on Hallelujah, which is designed by Mel of Single Handed Knits, out of the Milana colorway of the mustache yarn Helena skein. Helena! And I am carefully pulling it out of my bag. Alright, it's escaped. So I finished the back. Here's the back upside down. And it is, like, don't get me wrong here, like, we're talking pretty small little piece here. Well, this is obviously the front of me, but as you can tell, that this isn't a massive sort of thing, because it is supposed to have 1 to 2 inches of negative ease. And so it is pretty short. I have stitches on waste yarn. I ended up, it's interesting, you end up going a couple rows past and then binding it off because the fronts are longer than the back, which is interesting to me. And I am doing the sort of size I'm making is in between the small and the medium. So hopefully that ends up coming out pretty close to my measurements. And I am working on the right front. I hope I'm not working on the left front. So I finished the V-neck sort of portion of it. I am working on the arm. Last night I finally got to the armhole decreases, and it was a little bit interesting navigating between the patterns at that point, so hopefully I chose wisely. I suppose the main thing is making sure that I end up with the same number of stitches as this, and I've just been dividing in half whenever I come across something in the pattern, which is whatever, strange. So I still have at least several more rows to go before I am done with the armhole shaping. see. So where I stand right now, we have this. So the bulk of it is done at this point. And so I have whatever between here and there left to go on the, trying to figure out the width. So I have another 2 or 3 inches left to go before I'm done knitting this. But it'll go pretty quick because there aren't very many stitches left on the needles. So the cal is going on right now in the Mustache podcast group, and I am trying to be the class clown. You always need one. So I had actually posted in there me playing with my swatches of the shark fin, but whatever. I'm silly. So it's coming together. So what is it? I'll have some number of stitches left to decrease to. And I've been using the counter my mother-in-law gave me. It's a little bit strange because I'm normally not a counter user, so I don't necessarily have that discipline of incrementing it every row. So sometimes I have to go back and count, but it's much better than how many times I would go back and count normally. So that's a good thing for sure. So it's just, and it's not like the pattern's complicated enough that I really need a counter. It's just to save time and get used to using it so that when I do a more complicated pattern, which it is more suited for, then I'll be ready to go and used to using one. Certainly something with cables would need something along those lines, I would say. So getting used to it and getting used to using it would be wonderful. And so far it's been working out great. So, hallelujah. Coming along. I don't have any grand plans for finishing it soon, but it has been a nice carry-around project. It is in pieces, so it's pretty easy to put in and out of my bag and all that other fun stuff. It would be, I probably need to print the pattern, but I haven't, and that way it would be even more unobtrusive. It's been decent class moving, so that's been good. Let's see. The next thing would be spinning. This weekend, this past Friday, I ended up taking the time to go through and wash a third of the fleece. I think it was, I want to say it was probably 4 hours to do the 9 ounces. I don't know if it's just something that I'm doing or not doing or whatever, and for how much time I spent picking this, it seems like there's still an awful lot of hay in it, but better to deal with it now than to deal with it later. So, locks. And actually this is probably a little big for locks, so I might need to go through this and pick it again. Now that it's cleaner, it never really felt very greasy, but I washed it until the rinse water started to come clean. When you wash it, it tends to be a little bit of a yellowy color, so then once you start to get that yellowy color out, that's when you know you're there. So this is the clean lock, and I just tossed it upstairs to dry for a few days, and that seemed to make it work. I'm probably going to keep playing with this. It's an affliction. So it looks like there's still more work to be done on this. I still have, I have 15 more ounces to go. This is 9, so I did a pretty large chunk of it the other day, and it's just a matter of finding an evening and going and whaling at it. And it might even turn out that this Thursday is a good time to sit down and wash and to sit down and try to wash the rest. It was just something where I started maybe at like 8 p.m. and then by 11 or midnight it was the case, well, it was like, well, crap, I probably need to go to bed now. So I would have been pretty efficient to keep going, but it was already pretty late. So I'll need to make sure to start early enough so that I can finish at a reasonable time. And I had a pretty good system doing, it seems like it went faster than the first time I washed the fleece from Albuquerque. So, coming together, there's progress. And I feel a lot better knowing that I got it started and started working on it. And I ended up bringing my spindle that I had been storing it upstairs because we ended up having to clear out the room in order to paint. And I do know probably very soon I'll be getting started on the second half or the second 3 ounces of the Let's Go Crazy. So it's in my bag, my spindle's empty, these things need to happen soon. Because I did choose a pretty ambitious goal for the spin to bin, and obviously I haven't spun since I ended up applying the skate for my mother-in-law. And, the other finished object, I will not have, or I won't be showing Walk on the Moon on the podcast. I'll end up putting a picture or a couple of the beauty shots after blocking. I decided to also give Walk on the Moon to my mother-in-law, so she was so excited. Made me happy. She thought it had accidentally hitchhiked in the car and be like, no, that's for you. So it's in a new home. She really loves the Chim Chim Chimney colorway, so I'm like, it would make sense to give it to her. So that is the story there. So it has a new home. And let's see. I do want to make another one. And I think last week I had vague plans of starting. It's just a matter of probably pulling out my 3s and deciding whether I want to go with a red or my more maroon yarn to go with the green and the blue. And then maybe come up with some sort of plan for the blue so that I have enough. And it was interesting to wear it around my neck and see where the colors really show. So that last color really does show a lot more than the first one does. The first one is so close to your neck that it adds to it, but it's not the main show, or it's not the showstopper there. So I'll be probably this evening taking some quality time with my scale, pondering how to make it work, because I definitely don't have enough of the green or the blue for the end portion, which means that I'm going to have to take out some rows or do something. We'll see. Or invert colors somehow, or something to make it work. Or if I also incorporate gray or something, or the gray or something like that. There are so many mods out there on the pattern that I'm sure I'll come up with an acceptable solution, because I do, like my mother-in-law, love the Chim colorway. So random, ridiculous sidetrack. I also did get some more work done on the weaving. Oops. My shuttle fell off, so it makes it harder to lift it up to show you guys. So, I ended up bringing it to knit night last night because one of my friends there was interested in a 2-harness saloon. And even though this one is not for sale, maybe give her a sense of whether or not she does want to go for 1 or a 2 or a 4 or something like that. So this is where I'm at. It looks the same, doesn't it? But I didn't, like I was really hauling on it, and then I realized I didn't want to warp it again for Monday, so I'm like, okay, stop, don't do anything. And it might turn out that I'm not even close. I might, in fact, be very far away from being done with this project, and I just have no clue because it's just wrapped around. But I feel I'm getting close. Maybe I'm not. So, so we shall see where that goes. And I ended up finding out that there is actually a pretty large community of weavers in Lafayette, so it might turn out that I go and pay them a visit and maybe learn more things. So, and that project is out of Stella Polaris for the warp and Blue Curacao for the weft. So, two different colorways, but similar. They share similar tones, so it's really pretty and extremely blue. As you guys know, I love blue. Okay. Well, that seemed to come to a very sudden stop. It looks like Tuesdays are going to be quite fantastic for recording, so I think I'll keep that up, and I'll let you guys know if it turns out I need to rejigger my schedule around. It might turn out that Thursdays are also good. I'm not sure. It might not. Who knows? So for now, I'll plan for a recording on the 21st of January. And we'll see what I cast on. The other thing that I've been dreaming of has been Moritz, which is a tessellation pattern from Stephanie van der Linden's book, Op Art Socks. So I have the colors all picked out. It really is just a matter of whatever, casting on and starting. And there are a couple of different cals going on which it qualifies for. So in Sock Knitters we're having a 2-color cal, which Hillary is running, and then in Wool Myself for All Seasons we are having an op art, or a Stephanie van der Linden cal, because it seems like everyone got op art for Christmas. Oh, our men. They love us so. Oh, and on that note, it looks like my Ravelinix project of Great Insanity will be the Wild Apples Bohus by Kirsten Olsen. I believe that is the thing. And I am in for an interesting problem, so I might turn out to be swatching soon, or starting to swatch at some point and looking at my pile of small balls of yarn and figuring out what 15 colors go together. Oh, crazy. And basically trying to figure out how to recreate or to create something very similar using, because that's a pattern which has much more, a range of similar tones. So it'll turn out that maybe it turns out that there's like 7 different shades of red, or different shades going from red to orange, which is possible with how much red I have left over from when I did my first Bohus, which is the Dean Yoked Pullover. So, and based on my experience with the Dean, it took a lot of swatching in order to finally pick what the right color combination needed to be in order to make something work. So that is my crazy. That's the sucking craziness. my insane project. Like, I highly doubt that I will be able to knit the entire sweater during Ravelinix or whatever, during the duration of the Olympics. I I think there's no way. But I figure it is a great way to give that project a jump start. So I probably need to finish Hallelujah before I start another fingering weight sweater. I guess my last sweater was lace weight. Maybe Hallelujah counts as lace weight too. Who knows? But that's my big crazy plan. Who knows? It might be too crazy. So we'll see. I just wanted to pull out Walk on the Moon and be like, it's coming. I might even start that very soon, just because I really want another one. And, well, it's a very similar shape to the shawl that I'm wearing now, and I really love the crescent shape of it. So it's just, I want more. It's extremely wearable, either as a scarf or wrapped around my shoulders like this, and like we were talking at midnight about the functionality of shawls and how some people were thinking that shawls were only really good for the transition period, so like spring and fall, but I wear my shawls, I would say, from all the way from fall into spring, and it's not a big deal at all. In the summer, it can be too hot for shawls, and generally I have a shawl that I keep in my office, just to when it is cold, it is very handy. But I would say that this works just as well as a wrap as it does as a scarf, so that is why I want to Walk on the Moon. Maybe I want a pony too. But yeah, no, it's looking like I'm gonna have a decent amount of free time for the time being, so that's, or more free time than I was expecting, so that was definitely a good thing based on my schedule. So it's looking like weekly is gonna work. So so I will be seeing you guys next Tuesday, and I hope you all have a lovely week. So take care. Goodbye. So I forgot something. I did have a stash position this week. Surprise! Hopefully it's not blurry. So I ended up entering a contest, and I won a skein of yarn. So yay, free yarn! So I ended up getting this from Diane of Knittables. It is the Zelana Air, and it is it is a 40% cashmere, 40% possum, 20% mulberry silk blend. And probably the most interesting part, which I don't think any of the podcasts had mentioned when they were doing the giveaway, is it's a cable ply. And it's chunky weight, which surprised me. Which it looks more like a worsted to me, but maybe that's just the case where you want to treat it. It's sort of, like mohair, where it looks like it's lace blade, but really you want to knit it on a huge needle. So, it's really exciting. For whatever reason, the thing that I'd spec'd out as a project was the Pretty Thing cowl, but I'm pretty sure that calls for fingering weight, which I don't think this is. So I'll have to figure something out, but it is very lovely stuff. And I ended up getting a Knittables pin and a nice little note from Diane, so that was cool. So the Zelana Air in a gorgeous red shade, and we'll see, or if it turns out that I need to go and get some more in order to make something out of it. Ooh, Trixie. Or maybe I see if the Deersuit Lovable one wants something made out of it. He might not be special enough for cashmere possum silk. Alright, so sorry about that, and I hope you guys have a lovely week. Take care.